Recently, Hohem just sent me their new iSteady V3 gimbal. And it has a tripod built in. They have also specifically asked me if I could review it against the Osmo Mobile 6. And of course, I agreed. So today, we are going to put the flagship gimbals of both of these two big brands to the test, comparing them in terms of their stabilization, accessories, and functions, to see if one is better than the other. Before we begin, just a light disclaimer, Hohem did send me their gimbal to review for this video, but I'm no way obliged to sing praises about it, nor do they get to see this video earlier than you do. Secondly, I only have this gimbal for about 2 weeks now. Some of the features are still relatively new to me, so I'm about to miss out on some points. So just keep that in mind. Now let's jump in straight to their features. The ultimate test to whether a gimbal is average or good is its tracking ability. So I've set both of these with their native apps to be able to track me, to be able to see which one performs better. So let's start recording. Dun, 1 and 2. Okay, and as usual, this one you can actually extend them, so I'll just keep them both even height. And of course, make them track me, so I'm going to draw on the DJI one first. Alright, and then I'm going to switch this to the back camera. Okay, before we begin, just let me show you guys is behind the scenes. Okay, so here I have my camera set up over here, and then both of these are on their gimbals. Ta-da! So now let's draw this on my face. Ta-da! Okay, I'm going to keep them apart so that they don't actually hit each other. Alright, so far you can see that both of their tracking is really good. Okay, but somehow I do notice that the Hohem is a little bit faster. So let's see from this angle. Okay, let's see how far they can go without losing me. Okay, somehow you can see that the Hohem is managed to get my movements much faster than the DJI. Okay, look. Okay, to be honest, both of them are really good. It's just that the Hohem seems to be a bit faster. So what do you guys think about the test? I think they are pretty much very close, but the Hohem still has an edge over it. Now let's do a walking test with both of these gimbals. Alright, so now let's begin. Okay, I know certain shutter speed settings are a little bit off. I'm just setting both of them at their just normal video camera presets. So hopefully we are just testing the stabilization and it won't affect the footage that much. Okay, now I'm going to run faster. And now let's add with the tracking itself. Okay, one thing good about having this selfie thing is that I can actually adjust my hair. Alright, so now let's run with it. So I have to disclaim that somehow both of these aren't apples to apples comparison. I'm using both cameras, both different models of cameras after all. The one on my OM6 is actually the S10 Plus, which is a model about 5 years ago. While me having the other one on my Hohem is actually the Z Flip 5, which is actually just about a year back. So we're just comparing the stabilization. Now let's change to the front screen. Okay, I do notice that the Osmo Mobile 6 has a much faster tilting motion. Alright, so here we have is the screen on, and let's on its gesture controls. Where is its gesture controls? Gesture controls is... Okay, it's because it's out in the bright, so I'm unable to see the icons because it's actually white against the background. So one improvement Hohem should do is just to create their icons with some shadow so that I know where the icons is. Alright, so here is... I'm not able to find it, so let's on the gesture controls. Gesture controls. Alright, I'm going to on both of them. And here we go. Alright, gesture controls. Okay, let me track myself first. Okay, gesture controls. Alright, so I will have to wave. I'll press OK. Okay, it looks like the gesture controls is not working that well. Thankfully, Hohem has their remote control over here, which I could just remotely control it. So I could just press record, start, stop. Okay, now let's put this back, and I'm going to show you guys 3 very interesting features which the effects of this gimbal has. First is the slim effect. So let me draw myself, and we're going to increase the slim effect. So now I'm fat, now I'm skinny. Skinny, fat, skinny, fat, skinny. Alright, and also I could resize my eyes. As you know, I already have small eyes, so this effect might work in my favor. Guys, my god, I look like an alien. But I got to say, this effect is interesting. Okay, what I'll do is just I'll try to set it to auto. Alright, auto is this way. And let's just go back to normal. None. Auto, normal. So I think this effect works really well if I'm actually doing live and I happen to be bulging a little. The slim effect does make actually quite a big difference, especially in my cheeks over here. Now let's quickly compare this with my DJI OM6 in terms of their gesture controls, which I think is a little bit better. Okay, let's replace it with my OM6. Okay, we need to on the gesture first. Alright, gesture is on, and let's go. Gesture controls on. Why is my gesture controls disabled? Stay within 2 meters. Alright, 2 meters. Gesture controls on. Alright, gesture controls. Alright, so the gesture controls on the OM6 definitely works better than the Hohem. The Hohem, in my opinion, is quite a hit or miss. Now, let's talk a little bit deeper about its remote control. Right in the center column of the Hohem, you can actually plug this remote out. Now, you can see up close, there are actually a few different controls of the remote. Okay, focus, yes. Alright, on the sides, you have one button over here, and then you have the main joystick. Okay, there are a few other buttons, especially a recording button, to be able to control all of the recording modes over here. Now, in terms of its range, it has a range of about 10 meters or 32.8 feet, which I think is really far. It will definitely help to overcome those obstacles such as like trees or things that are blocking. Basically, 10 meters is really good length. At the side, you'll be able to see this scroll over here, which activates the lights. Okay, right into this AI tracker, they call AI tracker. You can actually have 3 modes of lights. Here you have the daylight. Okay, then you have the warm light. Cool light. Okay, let's go there again. Okay, warm light, daylight, cool light. Okay, so once you are here, you can actually scroll the wheel to increase the strength of the light or decrease it, which I think is really brilliant and useful. Compared with the OM6 you might need to get the lights separately, while this actually comes with the whole Hohem itself. And you can see up close, it does not have any other batteries. There's basically just a cooling unit at the back over here. All of its power is actually gotten from the gimbal itself, which makes it so easy and fun to use. You don't need to remember to charge these lights. Comparing with other lights that I have, there are instances which I forgot to charge the light. And if I'm ever filming in the night, I'm actually quite done for. Whereas this, I just need to make sure that my gimbal itself has enough batteries. What's one more also very interesting about this gimbal itself is that once I remove the control, you still are able to see some battery indicators over here, such as the battery level of the gimbal on the controller as well as the connection. A very unique setup in terms of handheld gimbals. Okay, needless to say, you can also extend it to get those long selfie shots. So now that you guys have an idea of what this gimbal compared to the OM can do, let's head back home studio to talk about some details. Details that will matter to most of you guys out there who are considering between these two models. Now, before we touch on the specifications, I'm sure some of you guys are curious what they both actually comes with in their retail packages. So let's do a quick unboxing of both of them. And this is what you get in its retail package. Now let's dive in deeper. Now when we have both of them side by side, you can actually notice that the OM6 is actually taller than the Hohem V3. Now I think the main difference of this is actually because of its tripod legs. Once we actually put it downwards, you can see that the feet of the OM is a lot longer than the one that is on the Hohem V3. Taking a closer look at their features, from the left side, you can actually see that the both of them have a USB-C charging cable, charging port at the side, and the power button for the Hohem is actually over here. At the back, they do have this trigger or the to be able to hold to stabilize your footage. And at the other side, you actually have both of their wheels. Okay, the one that is on the OM6 is actually much larger. You actually have these little hinges over here, which makes it a lot nicer to be able to do adjustments. While on the Hohem, you have this orange color wheel. Turning to the front, you'll be able to see that both of them has a different frontal configuration. Okay, usually I don't on this, but let's on it. Okay, the reason not to on this is because actually it needs a phone to be able to stabilize the gimbal. Usually if you don't do this, it actually hurts the motor located inside the gimbal. But either ways, let's just move forward. Okay, so you can see that on the Hohem is really interesting. You can have all the controls that's actually at the front over here. And once you remove it, you're able to see all the power indicators, indicating the power on the gimbal and also on the controller itself. While on the OM, things are a lot simpler. You can just see at the front here, there are actually different modes. Okay, I think we have to install, we have to put the phone in to be able to have all the different indicators over there. And here you have the joystick and the record buttons at the front. While the Hohem, you have a lot more complicated functions over here. As for the top of the gimbal, how do you attach it is that the one that is on the Hohem, you literally have to stretch to be able to put your phone in. So let's say here is my mobile phone, I have to open it up, pry it, and be able to extend it this way. While on the OM, it's a lot simpler. All I have to do is just remove this and attach this from this phone mount over here. You'll be able to see that there's this camera icon, making sure that the camera icon is facing towards the towards the camera side, and just attach it over here and then on it. Now let's get into some metrics. Starting with the Hohem, its starting height starts from about 12.7 cm and can go all the way up to about 31.2 cm or about 12.2 inches. As for the OM6, it starts about 18.9 cm and can go all the way up to about 27.6 cm or 10.8 inches. Now let's try to take away his feet to be able to see if the height really makes a huge difference because of the tripod. So this is without, oops. Okay, let's retract the legs in here. Now, so the tripod does help to be able to make it taller, but you can see is actually still slightly longer. Not a whole lot. Moving on to its weight, the Hohem comes in about 420 grams or 0.9 pounds, while the OM comes in about 309 grams or 0.68 pounds. So slightly lighter than the Hohem V3. But once I hold in the hands, the difference actually isn't much. Moving on to the battery life, the OM6 has a battery life of about 1000 mAh, while the Hohem has about 1400 mAh, which goes all the way up to about 13 hours of use. So you're actually looking at about 400 mAh difference between them. Do also take note that the light on the Hohem draws its battery from the gimbal itself. So if you're going to on the battery all the way, the runtime will definitely be compromised. Now, but how much do they cost? The OM6 comes in about 109, while the Hohem comes in about 129, $10 cheaper. Both of these obviously also comes in black and white. And with this $10, they also give you this additional light, which the OM6 does not have. With the specs out of the way, let's talk about their pros and cons. Let's start with the Hohem. Number one, it's definitely its light. Above than just be able to draw power from its batteries, the light is actually really strong. It will definitely work well for all those who plan to shoot at night or in less well-lit areas. As for its usability and the way you control it, it's a little tricky. You're unable to control it by itself. You will definitely need to use the wheel, which is at the side, to be able to adjust the different increments on the light. Now let's get it on. So how I'll control the light is that I'll hold on to this over here, and I'll be able to change the increments on the wheel. I'll double tap it for different colors. But personally, I'll prefer the wheel such as the one that's on the OM to be able to use for picking the focus or to be able to zoom in and out. It's not always that I will use the light, especially for me, which I tend to shoot most of my content during the day. But in terms of not getting extra accessories, this is definitely a pro. Number two is of course its hidden legs. Now, how the legs works is really interesting. It does not come off all three by themselves. So these two legs will actually stick by themselves. And okay, so starting from once it's open, it looks like this over here. And the front two, you have to close it here, and it goes in parallel, while the back one goes in independently over here, making keeping the tripod so much easier. Which compared with the OM6, you have to screw in independently. Number three is its battery life. Having 400 mAh means they have 40% more than the OM6. That equates to about at least 1 to 2 hours more usage. Important especially if you plan to go out for the whole day of shooting content. Now let's move on to its con. The biggest con of the Hohem is definitely its software. Especially when I want to use for all those focus tracking, I can't tell you how many times it actually misses. The interface itself is also not well refined. When I'm outdoors, I'm unable to find the icons because the icons does not have shadow. So if I'm in a brightly lit area, I'm unable to find the options that I'm looking for. Now let's move on to its OM6. Move on to the OM6. Alright, the OM6, number one, is definitely its wheel. I really love its wheel. The wheel is actually very nice and well designed. I can actually do micro increments in terms of zooming or actually choosing the focus. There are also other functions which you can access by just pressing the wheel itself. Number two is its software. Now, having this being the 6th iteration, its software is more well refined. Now, I do understand that in terms of tracking, physically tracking, the Hohem does perform slightly better in terms of capturing my motion. But in terms of its software usability, I do prefer the one that is on the OM6, which is the DJI Mimo app. It's easy to use and not overcomplicated. Complicated. Now, its cons will be obviously its feet. Having to be able to keep this in and bringing this along is a little bit more hassle than having one whole piece by itself. Now, with that said, both of these also comes with their little pouch. Let me get it. So the one that is actually for the Hohem comes with this pouch, which is orange in color for the thread, while the OM actually comes with this. With the pros and cons laid out for both of these, let's conclude. What is my verdict regarding these two gimbals, and which one should you go for? If you're someone who likes to shoot in dark places, as well as a light that does not need charging, the Hohem is for you. It has legs that is built in, is also $10 cheaper, and comes with all the bells and whistles such as the different types of shooting modes. But if you're someone who likes to shoot with more comfort and control during your shoot, the OM6 is for you. After having 5 iterations, the 6th version is better in terms of its ergonomics and definitely more well thought through. It's comfortable to hold and allows you to have control in the focus and zooming via its wheel. Important if you want to have very nice and cinematic shots. In the larger scheme of things, I've never had issues with DJI products in terms of its longevity. Even though through rough handling and usage of it, it has not failed me once. So you can never go wrong with it. Which one do you prefer? The OM6 or the Hohem? And what is your favorite feature? I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments below. If not, see you guys in the next video.